The Toronto Raptors come back home and handle the San Antonio Spurs. 112-98 is your final. Welcome to Raptors Tonight. I'm Randy Urban, joined by Leo Rautins, Jack Armstrong, and Paul Jones. Jack, I'll start with you. The energy in the building, it felt like, was there. And then the team played like they were just happy to be home. There was this collective energy, like, let's go get it tonight right off the bat.
Well, and a big reason why was Pascal Siakam. I thought, with 18 first quarter points, I mean, he really made a big difference in the game and how they perform. And they've had some sluggish starts of late. They had a little bit of a sluggish one in the first few minutes, but then bang, they hit their stride and really got it going. But Pascal Siakam was a big reason why. And to me, he had a bit of an uneven road trip. You look at his numbers, he really, his shooting, everything is better at home. He looked himself. I watched him in his warm-ups tonight before the game, a few hours before the game, and he was drenched, put in a big-time workout. He was ready to play tonight.
Well, even defensively, guys, he was in his stance and he was working hard. He was being active. And when he plays like that, that's one of the best two-way players in the game.
I think Jack's point is really important because there's a sordid stat about the Raptors coming home and playing the first game at home with a trip of 4 or more games.
Yeah.
It's not good.
No.
And they came out with, as Jack said, with that energy tonight. It was the offense, but it was everybody. Pascal was good. I thought Scotty was aggressive early. I watched Fred pushing up on people defensively. Like, all of it said, we're not going to succumb to, it's nice to be home and sleepwalk our way through this thing. Let's get after it right away, and I thought they did that.
Defensively, held them to 98 points. I'm not saying San Antonio's an offensive juggernaut, but holding the team under 100 points
still
now.
the NBA.
Yeah.
Right? It's still the NBA, and a lot of times you have that tendency to relax against a lesser opponent, right? So I think, to Jonesy's point, I thought as the game went on, the defense got better and stronger. Second half especially, they came out and really put the hammer down. And like I said, these are tough games because it's a lesser opponent. You're coming back from a road trip. You got to fight through. So it may not always be pretty, but you got to outwork and grind through. And I thought they did that.
It's so strange when I look at the San Antonio Spurs and I see Gregg Popovich, coaching this team, and I think back, I'm like, this is the worst defensive team in the NBA in terms of points per game allowed. And it just seems strange to see him be a part of a team like that.
You heard what he said a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
we talked about that, right?
Right, yeah. So what do you make of that?
I make of it is that they really like Victor over in France, and they have not given him a lot to work with. And when you are a team that offensively just can't keep up and score consistently, you're going to have issues. And they have they don't have any shot blocking.
Yeah.
How many guys do they have that are plus defenders? So as good a coach as he is,
Talent wins.
Yeah, sure it does.
In the words of Rick Pitino, Tim Duncan ain't walking through that door.
Yeah. Does he?
And he was lucky enough to have Tim Duncan.
Yeah, he was.
Say they don't get Victor. Does he want to keep doing this? Like, how long do you? He can't be accustomed to losing. You can't be enjoying this.
I think he's the highest paid coach in professional basketball,
Right.
and one of the highest paid coaches. I think he's in the top 5
in professional
North
sports.
American.
Yeah.
So the money
buys a lot of red wine.
Buys a lot of really good red wine.
I'll say this, Randall, too. The other part of it is you can see he's trying to teach culture.
Yeah.
Like, calling his same ticked off timeouts when his team doesn't get back defensively, stands up timeout. Like, the first quarter was bad, and he got into them, and they started the second quarter with a little more fire. They outscored the Raptors in that second quarter, held the Raptors to 23.
So he still has their attention.
Right. He does. And like I said, and we had talked about this on the radio side, he's also coaching culture. Like, in this day and age where some people think that the inmates are running the asylum, that's not happening in San Antonio.
Yeah.
We know who's in charge and what the expectations are. And as long as Pop still enjoys doing that, and listen, the other part of it too is, and both Leo and Jack know this, coaching is more than X's and O's. It's being a leader of people. It's being, in this case, a leader of men. And he's got these young men, and he talks to them about politics and, worldly issues. And that's part of, like, guys talk about their coach, it's not just the X's and O's, it's the way he treated me, it's what he taught me, and I think Popovich still enjoys that.
And it's the Jimmies and Joes.
That's
You
right.
always tell
The X's and O's is the Jimmies and Joes.
Let's talk a little Gary Trent, because when I'm watching him now, I'm seeing this trust that the other guys that are playing on the floor with him have. They want to get him the ball, and they want him to take that shot.
Absolutely.
That's a great feeling.
Absolutely. I mean, they definitely trust him, and he's really good at getting to the spots.
Yeah.
His teammates know where he's going to be, and then he's also a bit of a
Stretch it out
bailout
here.
guy, right? He's a bit of a bailout guy.
Yeah.
End of the clock, he can put the ball on the floor. He can create some own shots, some of his own shots. So not only is he a guy you can find through the rhythm of the game, but he's a guy that you can say, hey, help us right now. We need a bucket.
The bailout guy is a great quality to have. Well, you need somebody like that, because there's a couple of times where he'll take that shot and the defender is right in his
Well,
face.
I mean, when you think of bailout, like, okay, you can look at some of Fred's shots, for example. You can say he takes some bad shots. He's a bailout guy too, because the point guard oftentimes gets stuck with the ball in his hands late in the clock.
Yeah.
A lot of times,
The grenade.
you're right about it. It affects your shooting
Yeah,
percentage.
absolutely. So you end up taking some bad shots. Now he's also a bad shot maker. He makes some of those big, especially down the stretch of a game. But so Gary Trent is one of those guys as well that can bail you out of situations late in the clock. Yeah.
And he's a gym rat too.
Yeah.
I've grown to really admire and respect Gary Trent in his time here in Toronto. He's a better, I watched him obviously in college at Duke, and then in his early days in Portland, and he's really developed into a good pro because he is a pro.
Yeah.
And I think
So
there's
he's
a lot
all
to be
business.
said.
He steps on the floor. He's all business.
He's all business. Yeah.
And he's got a really nice, pleasant personality as well. Like he's just low maintenance. He does his thing.
Was it you, Jonesy, or you, Jack, in the game against Memphis where he complained about something, and one of you remarked
I
it?
did.
Yeah, it was like he
First
never,
time I ever saw him complain.
complains.
Doesn't complain at all.
It's really refreshing.
He's all business.
Yeah. Jonesy, when I'm watching...
You're the one guy listening to us.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
the
you know
ticker,
what?
right? That's
hey, you gave me a shout out on the air today.
Well, I did, and you didn't even hear it.
I know, but I was watching the game live. I appreciate it, though. People are texting me saying, Jack? I'm like, yeah, a little bit. Chris Boucher, Jonesy, is this the best stretch of basketball that he's played this season?
Might be.
Yeah.
It really might be. And to me, what I like is he's not being strayed or lured by the luster of offense.
Right.
Like he's playing well, but it's not like he's trying to score and trying to get points. He's playing within the framework of his game. He's hustling, he's trying to block shots, he's rebounding, he's running the floor. When the ball swings, he's not trying to create, but when he's on the back end and the ball swings to him and he knows it's coming, he gets ready, he catches it, and he lets it fire. And I don't think Nick Nurse has any problems with that. When you're doing all the other stuff and you wait for your shot on offense.
I was just going to say
boom.
that. If I'm a coach and you can get me a few rebounds that nobody else can get, if you can block some shots that nobody else can do, go ahead, take that shot. You want to let loose once in a while. I don't care.
Yeah.
You give me all that, all right? I'll live with that. All right? I'm going to prioritize what I'm going to get uptight about. Right, and I have no issue with a guy that gives me all those intangibles taking a shot or two.
He was great tonight. Like he really was. Like there was one time he missed a shot at one end, fell to the ground,
Contested at the other.
and got up and like he looked like Usain Bolt. Like coaches talk about transition and the first three steps. It was like the place was on fire and he was trying to get out. He got to the other end and contested a three, a rear view contest, and the guy missed.
Yep.
Look at how he's playing in the last, 10, 12 games. And, there's so much discussion about the top four guys with the Raptors, obviously with the 3 o'clock Eastern trade deadline tomorrow.
What's that?
And you don't ever hear Chris Boucher's name. And honestly, if I'm one of the other 29 teams in the league, if I'm looking at improving my bench and looking for a guy that can come in and help my team with a jolt, and occasionally he'll make a play that you go, oh, what is he doing? But overwhelmingly, it's coming from the right place. I think Chris showed that again tonight, that there's value to him. There's a lot of value to those other guys that's been talked about to death, but he brings value too. and he brings value to the team he plays on.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
So when I look back and I take a sort of a wider angle view of what the team has done lately, 4-3 on the road trip is good. I thought 5-2 would have been outstanding, but I'm happy with 4-3. But I think they're 10-7. Correct me if I'm wrong. In the last 17, they're putting together winning basketball here, Jonesy, and the schedule favors them coming up. This is an interesting time right now.
It's funny because if this had been a month ago, you're looking at the potential of a 7-game win streak.
Yeah.
But it comes right in the middle of the trade deadline.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to be on the floor Friday night, and that's a kicker. And that's why, I understand tweaking your team and redoing it and remaking it. People ask me, Jonesy, what would you do? My nature is to let it play out. Those deals will be there in June. They may crystallize even more because, we'll give you 2 second-round picks. Well, you don't know what they are. On June 24th or whatever it is, that's pick number 36 and 42, and we've worked guys out, and we know who we want. The same way they made the trade Gravis Vasquez for Norman Powell. And then the other part of it is for people that want it torn down. It's easy to tear it down, and I never think winning is a bad thing. Your players look better. Your organization looks better.
There's no reason to tear down.
Well, but yeah, I'm saying.
Look at the Rudy Gay trade. It ended up 8 of the last 9 years they've been in the playoffs.
Right.
But that was the trigger moment to start this all. And the other thing is, when you look at the Raptors, the challenge on the other side is, Gary Trent Jr. and Fred VanVleet can opt out of their contracts, and asset retention is an important thing.
Yeah.
And you can't, on the other hand, say, well, do I want to sign these guys long term? If I want to sign these guys long term, how does it affect my luxury tax? How does it affect my team building ability? So there's a lot of different considerations that Messiah and Bobby have to
quality
make.
people here.
Also, I'm going to speak honestly. I don't know how you guys feel. I'm watching this team. It's missing a pop. Okay, it's missing a pop. It's missing pop. And so you could say, okay, this group has been together a while, right? Could they have plateaued a little bit?
Maybe.
Right? And because even earlier in the season when they played well, you're going, that fire, the explosiveness, I'm not seeing it, even when they play well now. So sometimes, and it doesn't have to be a monster trade, it doesn't have to be an overhaul. Sometimes 1 or 2 pieces could be a bench piece.
Yeah.
It could, that can change the dynamics, and you can get that energy back, right? So it's not that you got to trade away your big stars. It's not, but you may have a deal. Who knows? We don't know what's going on, right? I think the only thing we know, based on from last summer to now, is that Scotty Barnes the only guy that won't be touched. If you're not moving Kevin Durant, for Kevin Durant,
And we also know that Messiah and Bobby are looking long term.
Yeah, no, everything they do is
now,
long term. Yeah,
it's not going to be a
quick
short-term
fix.
fix.
Yeah,
no,
nothing.
Absolutely.
They never do that.
Speaking of long term, LeBron James.
Is the beard a quick fix or is that long term?
The beard is. It's a new thing.
LeBeard?
Is this a quick fix though, or is it?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean,
exactly.
Bad date the other night. What
What is this guy talking about?
Disguise?
Is this a midlife crisis?
No, this.
You're wrapped in.
How old are you, by the way?
What do you mean? How old am I? That doesn't matter to anybody watching at home.
What?
Is it like a midlife crisis?
I'm
is he getting a red sports car next?
Oh,
You know what?
Convertible.
Convertible red sports car?
I've been thinking about it actually.
I think he's in that
Wait,
zone.
so is this a yes or a no for you guys?
I like it.
I'm good with it.
Okay.
Good with
Okay.
it.
Leo looks great
we
in that.
We look like brothers.
I'll take you out. I'll take you out.
You did.
No, he'll take you out. Take you out.
Yeah. You're a funny man, Leo. Jonesy.
Remember, you're number 2.
Jonesy.
Two in the GOAT debate?
Talk to me about.
Two in the GOAT debate?
No, eligible bachelors.
Talk to me about LeBron James becoming the NBA's all-time leading scorer.
I'm fortunate enough to be of the age that I saw Kareem do it back in '84 and remembered that night in Las Vegas. And there's a huge debate going on now. First of all, you can't compare guys from different eras just because everything is so different. But as an accomplished basketball player, you look at some of the things that LeBron James has done.
That's what I'm saying. He is the most accomplished.
That might be the Stan Van Gundy.
Yeah,
I think
he put that word.
and
That's
that
a
might
very
be
good word.
a good way to describe it. When you talk about the numbers, the longevity, all of it, and maybe this passing Kareem has maybe not just passed him for the all-time leader in scoring, but it's leveled him with Kareem for an accomplished basketball career.
Hey, when he's done, that's going to be untouchable. Nobody is ever going to come near LeBron.
I agree with you.
Luka
Yeah.
Doncic has a chance if he plays
No.
20
No,
years.
he's not going
If
to
he
play.
plays 20 years,
Players
but he
don't
won't.
play that long anymore. Players
No,
don't play
no.
the minutes anymore. Players don't play
They
the
don't
games
play the
anymore.
games anymore. You're
Exactly.
not going to.
Doncic is not exactly
Load
taking care of his
management.
body.
You gotta-
Load management is going to protect LeBron's record.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
100%. 100%.
I loved how he got the bucket too. That fadeaway from the top of the key.
You know what
I
it
saw
has
him
done?
working on the Kareem hook, and I'm like, don't do it like that.
I
Just-
would have loved to see the
I know.
Kareem hook. But
I want to
but-
see him stay true to himself.
But here's what, it would have been a great tribute, I think.
Yeah.
But here's what I will say. Through all of this, and I think I speak for Leo and Jack, the evolution of the game and the greatness of the game keeps going forward. And it has forced a lot of people who thought the league started in 2000 to look back and go, wow, Kareem had a pretty good career. 5 MVPs, 5 championships, the most unstoppable weapon maybe in all of pro sports. Defensive play, like defense, all defensive teams. Like a guy who's older than me said this to me. He said,
Well, that
I'm-
guy's pretty young then.
I'm looking at Victor Wembanyama, and he said, that might have been Kareem in this day and age.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went, I never thought of that, because Kareem was never allowed to handle the ball.
Oh, did you ever see the early footage of Will?
Yeah.
He was a stallion.
And,
Right?
and
who knows in today's game if you gave him the tools? Right?
exactly. I'm not saying he would have like
In a lot of
surpassed
ways.
LeBron, but the
That
era,
number,
the era has allowed LeBron
He's at his
to
own record.
demonstrate his full range of skills. And it's allowed people to look back, it's forced people to look back critically and appreciate Kobe, Michael, Kareem, Elgin Baylor, Wilt, Russell. Like you look at the accomplishments of a career, Russell, more rings than fingers, and NBA championships, college championships, Olympic championships. Like,
yeah.
I got to say something because
I like how you put your hand
no.
up.
Well, I went to Catholic grade school, so you didn't put your hand up, you get smacked in the head. Here's the thing: it was really cool to have both Kareem and LeBron on the court together, because we all remember Kareem at UCLA, and then his Lou Alcindor with the Bucks, and Lou Alcindor, Kareem was the most hyped player ever until LeBron James. And the thing that they both have in common is that they got it done.
they lived up to it.
They lived up to it, and they were great players. But more importantly, they're great people.
Hey, Jack, think about this. Put that in perspective.
You know, we were joking pregame, Leo. You said if someone threw that fame and fortune at me,
Yeah, yeah.
as
If
a young
I'm
man,
an 18-year-old kid and you give me $100 million,
LeBron James.
and
You are
and-
not sitting here right now.
No, and social media is the way it is and a whole bit. Are you telling me that, like, I can't say I wouldn't lose my marbles and I'd just be like a nutball?
You almost
right?
lost him now.
Well, yeah, exactly. Now, and that's without $100 million. But think about it. So he's done everything right.
Yeah.
Like you can. There's so few blemishes in this career.
I mean, the decision, all that.
Yeah,
but
but
you know,
that's
he's
a
a
blemish.
kid.
That's a blemish,
It's
right?
nothing.
That's
It's
a
nothing.
right?
It's a
And-
miscalculation.
Makeup and a girdle fixes everything.
There you go. But if you stop and think about it, it's like Kareem didn't have to deal with that. As much as he was heralded, he didn't have social media. He didn't have 24-hour sports. He didn't have $100 million thrown in his face. So it's even. I think what LeBron faced was even greater than what Kareem faced.
Yeah.
I
They
agree
both
with that.
were the most touted, right?
But these guys, to their credit, both of them handled it And Jordan didn't have that. As great as Jordan was, and he was a great player at Carolina, and he burst on the scene with Chicago, and I remember his early days with the Bulls. I don't think and his teams lost in Chicago.
But nobody, when Jordan, why wasn't he a number 1 pick? Nobody thought Jordan would be Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Right.
People expected LeBron and expected Kareem to be who they were.
Good point.
What also stands out with me as a black kid with Kareem was his
He stood
conviction
up.
to standing up. Hey,
He took a lot of heat for that.
he took a lot of heat when he changed his name. I was in the 9th grade when he changed his name from Lou Alcindor to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and it was like, what's going on here? And I was also watching the greater civil rights movement and social change.
Yeah.
And he stood up, he took a lot of heat for that. He boycotted what would have been a definite gold medal in '68.
Correct.
Not going to the Olympics. And there was that whole Cleveland meeting where some decided to go to Mexico City, win, and then protest and show the world what's going on in America. And Kareem and so, no, I'm not going. I'm not going. Like, all of those things. And even now, I was at something a month ago with the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Foundation, where he came to speak and called out, decrying human rights violations for everybody, religious, racial, everything.
He was always very introspective.
And that was the thing. I don't think people understood or could handle an athlete being that smart.
Especially then.
Especially
Athletes
then.
did not do that.
No, especially in that time of the civil rights movement. Ali, Jim Brown, like
Bill
Kareem,
Russell.
Bill Russell. Like, it was like, wait a minute. It was literally shut up and play.
Yeah.
And they were like, hold on a second here. And so their advancement using the platform has led to people like LeBron taking it to the next step.
And that we kind of come full circle, and that to me is that if you're a kid and you go, wow, who are those 2 guys on the court? And then you do your research and you go, that's what a great player is.
Yeah.
And that's what a great player stands for. And those are the habits these guys have. And you know what? No crazy scandal. They do it right.
Hey,
they do it right.
One last thing on that, from my standpoint, when LeBron acknowledged David Stern and Adam Silver for the platform to live out your
Smart
dream.
guy.
The platform.
Yeah.
I think a lot of
Unlike
players-
other leagues where you can't do that.
Right.
The NFL guy takes a knee and he never plays again.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
What is that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
It's disgraceful.
LeBron's wearing his I Can't Breathe shirt,
Yeah.
Allowing the Clippers to take off their warm-ups or turn them inside out. Like, hold on a second here. We're dealing with life as well as sports. And look, the NBA, and we're fortunate to be part of this league, in terms of social change and social justice. In the marathon, that's 26 miles, the NBA is at about the 10, 11 mile mark. They've run a long way, but there's a long way to go. But I'm looking at the other major sports. Some of them don't even have their shoes on.
Exactly.
They haven't started to run yet. That's the way I look at it.
And, to Jonesy's point, and look, the Super Bowls and the NFL is always the highest rated TV, this, that, the other thing. But I don't care where kids are, anywhere in the world, the coolest league is the NBA.
NBA, yep.
And kids follow it. And they're influenced by it in some way, shape, or form. And again, respectfully to our game, we're never going to beat the NFL. They're always going to be number 1. Good for them. But I'm okay where we're at.
Yeah.
Hey, and you know who the coolest host is?
You. With that beard, you're looking good.
I appreciate you guys. I was going to say, this is really nice. Is this new?
He wants to borrow it. He wants to borrow it now with the beard.
It's a little too big for my
You
side.
know what you're going to have to do? I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
You're going to have to drop the hoodie.
Okay.
You're going to have to drop the hoodie.
Well,
Really,
because
eh?
he's a mature adult.
You gotta
know
go.
about
You gotta
that,
go.
Jack.
We gotta take that next step.
Yeah.
You got a little gray in your hair now.
Yeah,
you got a little beard.
Nah,
You're going to be
Jack.
driving a red sports car. Top down, convertible.
I need a
You're gonna have to drop the hoodie.
turtleneck.
And take a step. Well, I'm not saying a turtleneck, but I'm just
so the
saying.
jacket's not enough. I got to keep going. I got to take it. All right.
I'm just trying to help you out.
I
We love
appreciate
you
that, and I
dearly.
need it.
And don't let the insecurity bother you.
And your brother Christian over here is pointing at you,
Because he's
but
like,
he's using
"End this."
he's using a different finger for some reason. I don't know why he's doing that.
All right.
I guess that's brotherly
That
love.
is. That
But he
is.
also knows who he's
knows.
dealing with.
Yes.
Next game for the Raptors, Friday against the Utah Jazz. Tip-off goes at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget, come on by Real
Look at
Sports.
that. Look at
Be a
that.
part of the show
Look
as
at
we
that. Look at that.
as we stream live on YouTube.
Slick.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. You got problems, man.